Thank you so much for that. I had it prepared, but you know how I can go. So I could just go start getting into it. All right. So this week has been a very interesting week. This week has taught us a lot about, what it means to be anointed. It has taught us what it means, about Yahweh's name. We have learned, that Yah has demands upon his people, and more specifically, the children of Israel and those who have joined themselves to Israel. We also found out about what the requirements are for the priest, and who they can marry, who they can't marry, what can they touch a dead body, they can't. And then there was something in it about that I found in the Torah portion, and I'm pretty sure if you read your Torah portion, there was things that you found. But one of the things that stood out most to me was that the Creator is using the priesthood to join himself to Israel, and saying that, these people, these Kohanim, and they have to be set apart. And any type of contributions that Israel was to give to the Kohanim had to be guarded. So it wasn't like the Leviim and the Kohanim were just to guard, the things that they dealt with. It was the things that were given to them on behalf of the children of Israel. And Yah has said, if the Kohanim or the Leviim, either one of them, if they profane the things that were set apart for Yahweh from the children of Israel, Yah would kill them. You're going to hear a lot about this death that Yah says that's required. We hear a lot about being cut off. If you don't eat this on this in particular day, you're going to be cut off. If you don't do this, you're going to be cut off for your people. If you do this, you're going to bear the consequences. So often it appears that this may become what they will call a burden, and it's about Yah speaking to them and telling them these things. There's a lot of conversation going on in the community about, did Moshe really write this, or did he really say these things? Are all the 5 books of the first 5 books of the Bible, are they the original scrolls? What other books are there that we can read and find out, what we should do? And everybody's on a hunt about, trying to figure out what they can do and what they should look at. And they're into the historical aspect of everything. Where do we come from, and all these sorts of things. And that's fine. But ultimately, it's always going to be, and I repeat, it's always going to be about, what did he say? What did the Creator say? This week's Torah portion is dealing mainly with that idea. And it says here, and I'll share my screen with you. It's right here. Amor, okay? Which is Amar, means to say. What did the Creator say? That's the question. But also, too, there's another flip side to this. It's also about, what have we said, okay? 2 aspects. What did he say, and what did we say? Because in order to have a relationship, one party is not the only one speaking. You need 2 or more, okay? So we're going to take a look at a couple of different things today to find out, what did the Creator say, and why did he say what he said, and what is this burden, okay? We're going to be in several books today. I don't know which one we're going to go to first. I really don't know, but I'm thinking, I think the first one that we need to go to is the one that applies to us. Okay. And it has something to do with the Torah portion. We're going to tie it all in. So I'm not just going to, jump all over the place and not have a reason. All right. So we're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 30. And what it says is this: when the time arrives that all these things have come upon you, both the blessing and the curse, which I have presented to you, and you are there among the nations, which Yahweh, your Elohim, has driven you, then at last you will start thinking about what has happened to you, and you will return. Okay. And that word return right here is called shuv. Okay. Okay. It's a shin, it's a wa, and it's a bet. Sorry for the diagonal. And it means to return. Okay. It means to turn back from going one direction to another. Okay. So the idea is that when we're in this place that we're at, we're going to return to Yahweh, our Elohim. And here's what he says: you're going to pay attention to what he has said. That is what you and I need to focus on, because you and I are in a place among the nations that we've been scattered to. And Yahweh is the one who has driven us here. He's driven us here because we have not listened and we have not paid attention to what he has said. Okay. Past tense. Okay. And he's going to let us know something, that it will be exactly what I'm ordering you to do today. That's what you and I need to be paying attention to. We need to pay attention to what they're being ordered to do today in context. Okay. In context, Moshe is talking to the children of Israel before, okay, and they go into the land. Okay. This is on one day that he's talking to them, and they're about to go into the land. They're about to go into the promised land. Okay. But he's giving them a warning and letting them know that, hey, listen, everything that I've told you today, I know that you guys are going to go through the blessings, and I also know that you're going to experience the curses. And when you get there, you're going to start thinking about what's happened to you. And that's exactly what you and I have been doing over the last couple of years, is that we've been thinking about, hey, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. So the idea is for us to turn back to Yahweh, our Elohim, and to pay attention to what he said. Now, there's a lot of people out here, they're doing a lot of talking. Okay. We got all kind of commentaries. We got all kind of Bibles. We got all kind of, different languages. We got all kind of stuff out here. Right. We got different religions. We got different, what do you call it? Philosophies. We have all different types of approaches. And the approach that we've been told is that if we would trust and believe and have faith in God, that he killed an innocent man on our behalf, then you and I would have our sins forgiven. But that's not what Moshe said is going to take place. That's not what's going to take place. He said, you're going to return to Yahweh, your Elohim. And one of the things that you and I must understand about returning to him is that he's Kadosh and that he is holy. And once we understand that principle, that's why for the last several weeks, it's been dealing with Quadashim and dealing with Kadosh. I am Yahweh, ni Yahweh, at a Kadosh, the Yiye, the Lanu. You guys shall exist unto me. You shall, Yiyoth, you shall exist as Kadosh, because I'm Kadosh. Okay. And so there's different things that you and I have to do in order for that to happen. And we're going to read about those things. But setting the tone here and giving us an understanding on why we're doing what we're doing is because we're deciding that we want to return to Yahweh, our Elohim. Okay. It's not on accident that it says your Elohim. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, it might be in the, I got to check. I don't want to say, I shouldn't do that. We have to determine whether it is on a plural, meaning you in terms of the nation, or it might be you individually. It doesn't matter. What it means is that whoever we are, We have to pay attention to what he has said, which will be exactly what I'm ordering you today, you and your children, with all your heart and all your being. That is the prerequisite. Okay. So if you are turning back to Yahweh, and all means having a heart that's been tamed, because we know again that the word all, okay, means to be called, and called means to be tamed. It's the shepherd's staff that's in the palm of the hand, which you're preparing something for service or to be prepared for use, like you would a garden, or what you would do in an animal, or what you would do in anything. So right now, while we're in the land of our exile, we're in a place of preparation, okay? Our ancestors were put out of the land because they did not want to sanctify Yahweh, and they did not want to present him as called Hashem. They wanted to profane him. They wanted to put a scar or a hole or pierce his name in the holiness of who he is. Okay. And we also have done this through our actions in the way that we've lived our lives. He says that the places that you are right now, you're living, you're profaning me. So where do we find our balance? You know, what is this all about? So Yah's letting us know that, you know what? When we do this in verse number 3, at this point, Yahweh will reverse your exile. When you and I and our children decide that we're going to be wholehearted with Yahweh and all of our soul, okay, then he'll reverse our exile and he'll show us mercy, and he will return and gather you from all the peoples which Yahweh your Elohim has scattered you. And then he goes on to talk about where he scattered us and so forth and so on. So the idea is that you and I have to return to what he has said. Okay. That's what this is about. Now, how can you and I turn back to him with a whole heart and a whole being if we don't understand what he has said? A lot of us have been told that there's a man that's in heaven that is looking out for us, and that he's going to make everything okay with the creator on our behalf. If that's the case, Moshe would have never said to us, okay, to turn back to Yahweh from the places you've been scattered. He would have let us know that, guess what? Yah's going to send someone who's going to die for your sins. Never mentioned whatsoever. The individual that came and so-called did a ministry for over 3 years, because that's how long his ministry was. The individual, never mentioned nothing that Yahweh said. Nothing. He never mentioned anything that Yahweh said at all. Okay. That's a problem. That's a problem. We need the priesthood. Let me explain something to you. Everything that the Christian world, the Muslim world, the European church fathers, the anonymous writers, the people who have the prophecies about the end times, they're trying to destroy the Leviim and the Kohanim. If they can get rid of the priesthood, okay, and they can get rid of these individuals that are supposed to be the people that join us to Yahweh, then of course, then we'll no longer exist as a people. Now it will be, the whole world would be joined to Yah. Like I said, the Gentiles will be able to come to him. The people who are whores and sinners, everyone will be able to join to the creator. And they don't want the priesthood of Aharon. They don't want it. Okay. And so they have to create another priesthood. And as you can see today, the Catholic Church is they came off of what? They came off of this idea of a church that was created by Peter the Apostle. And he was considered the first pope. I don't know if you guys know that, but he's considered the first pope. And they're going to get rid of the priesthood. The 12 disciples are there to replace the 12 sons of Israel. Okay. Yeshua is there to replace, listen to me, not only King David's descendant, okay, but he's also there to replace Aharon. We know for sure, for a fact, and let me go there and show you. This is proof positive. In the book of Jeremiah, and we're going to go to chapter number 33, it is. Yahweh says something. By the way, I don't know if you know that Yirmiyahu and Ezekiel both are from the priesthood families. They're both families from the Kohanim. So Yah has used certain priests to be his prophets, to tell the children of Israel what he wanted to do. And how appropriate is that, right? But here it is. The days are coming, says Yahweh. Again, that word says right there, okay? Yahweh says, when I will fulfill this good promise of which I proclaimed to the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah. There's a promise that he made to them. And I want you to listen very carefully. When those days come, at that time, I will cause to spring up for David a branch of righteousness. They have this in capitalization because they want to draw your attention to it, because they know in English that you and I were taught that anything that had a capitalization can mean a title, or, it to bring more emphasis to it. So it's giving you, they're letting you know this is a person, But in the Hebrew, there are no capitalization when it comes to these words, branch. It's a mock of Zedek, okay? He will do what is just and right in the land. They say that this is Christ. They say this is Yeshua, okay? That he's going to do this. When those days come, Yehudah will be saved. Did that happen? When this branch for David, this righteous branch, this upright one would come, this descendant from David, that's what it means. Yehudah will be saved. When Yeshua was here on the earth, Yehudah was not saved. Yehudah was under the rule of the Romans, okay? And the children of Israel were still scattered. Okay, so this is going back to the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah combined, both houses, okay? It said Yerushalayim will live in safety. And the name given to her will be Yahweh Zakenu, meaning Yahweh, our righteousness, because Zakenu means our righteousness. Question is has this happened yet? No, for this is what Yahweh says, because this is what we're talking about. It's about what did he say? There will never be cut off from David a man to occupy the throne of the house of Israel. Okay, not Yehudah, the house of Israel, meaning both houses at the same time as he has done before. Nor will there ever be cut off from the Kohanim. That's our focus today. Our focus is on how important is the Kohanim, who are Levi'im, a man before me, to offer burnt offerings, burn grain offerings, and offer sacrifices every day. Sacrifices will be put back in play. So as it stands today, you and I do not have anyone who's sitting on the throne of Yahweh, okay? We do not have anybody right now, a man, who is bringing burnt offerings, grain offerings, and sacrifices to Yahweh every single day. The Kohanim are one of the most important people in terms of our community, right? This is what it is, because they have a certain job that they have to teach the children of Israel. And we're going to find out what that job is, okay? But here's the point. There will never be cut off, okay? There will never be cut off Kohanim. The reason why, and I want to make a distinction between Kohanim and Levi'im, okay? The Kohanim are the priest, okay? And they're from Aaron's line and his sons, okay? The Levi'im are from all other cousins and brothers of Moshe's father, okay? So he had brothers and they had sons. Everyone who's not part of Aaron's line is a Levi'im, okay? The Levi'im they're all from the tribe of Levi. They're all from this tribe, okay? But he's being very specific here. He says, who are Levi'im, meaning they come from this tribe. That's all he's saying. He's not saying that the Kohanim are operating just as Levi'im and they're one and the same. He's saying they're from that family. I chose that family, and out of that family, I chose Aaron's sons, Aaron and his sons. I want everyone to get this. The Kohanim inherit something totally different than the Levi'im, okay? The Kohanim, Elohim, Yahweh says, I'm your inheritance, okay? The Kohanim, what are they supposed to get? What's their inheritance?
Grain and fruits.
They're supposed to get 10%. They're supposed to get the 10th of all the work that they do because they're working inside of the tabernacle. I'm not here to preach, I'm here to teach. The tabernacle is where they would have to do their work, and it's spelled out in the book of Numbers, okay? Where each one of these sons and their descendants had to be able to perform the service. Out of these families, they have 3 sons, and I'm just going to briefly share them with you right quick. And we can verify, okay? There's a family called Gershon, okay? It's one of Levi's sons. Another one is called Kahat, okay? And another one is called Merari, okay? These are the 3 sons, okay? Out of these sons, they have other sons, like he has Livni and Shimni, okay? Out of Kahat, you got Aram, and then he has a whole brothers, Utzuel and Uzziah and all these different ones. And out of this one here, out of this one family, Kahat, he had a son called Aram. You get Aaron, you get Moshe, and of course, Miriam, all right? But, so out of this family, I'm going to choose this first son, Amram, and I'm going to choose his son, okay? That's who I'm going to choose to do the work for me, to come draw near to me, okay? That's what I'm going to do. All these other sons that I have, okay, that they have out of the family of Levi, Gershon and Merari, and the remaining sons out of Kohath, their sons are all going to be considered to be Lavaim. Okay. So we got Kohanim over here. And out of the Kohanim, you're always going to have one who called a Gadol. He's going to be the number 1 guy. Okay. And so he's the first one in place. He's the one who could go behind the curtain. Then he has these sons. Okay. These sons are to do the duties and responsibilities by, taking the offerings, slaughtering them, putting them on the altar, and going through those duties and responsibilities, okay? But also, too, Aaron and his sons and these Kohanim are responsible for everything that is holy and everything that is most holy, okay? They're responsible for everything that the children of Israel give to Yahweh. They're responsible. Anything that goes wrong with that, Yah says, I'm holding you responsible. And I'm going to kill you if you mess up with anything that Israel gave to you. Okay. The Leviim, they're working, they can't even look at anything that's holy. They can't put their eyes on the menorah. They can't look at the table. They can't look at it. They can't touch it and look at it until Yahweh says that Aaron's sons and Aaron and them pack everything up and cover it and direct them on how to move these things, okay? So there's a clear distinction and a difference between these Lavaim and Kohanim. And you say, well, why do I need to know this today? What's the significance of it today? Well, the significance is that you and I need to understand the levels, okay? There's levels of Kadosh, okay? So what do we have? We have Yahweh, right? After that, we got the Kohen Gadol. Okay, he's the Gadol Kohen or Kohen Gadol. Forgive my writing, it's super sloppy. I should do a better job. And so you got the Gadol, and then after, he's the Kohen, and then after that, you got the Kohanim. Okay, the sons of Aaron. Okay, these are the sons of this guy. And guess what? If the high priest married a woman who was not a virgin, and she was defiled, or she was a prostitute, or she was married to somebody else, okay, that would ruin the seed for the Kohanim, okay? And let me cite that where you'll know Well, that's true, because he told them, if you marry anybody else, because you're only allowed to marry a certain woman, and if you didn't marry that woman, or if you did marry the wrong woman, what I would do is that would affect your seed. And that is right there in chapter number 21, verse number 13. Let's go there right quick. Just follow me. I'm sorry for jumping around, but I have to show you this. Okay. So that's in chapter number 21, verse number 13. This is part of our Torah portion today. And at the end, we're going to explain what all this means. Okay. Now he's talking here in context about the Kohen Hagadol. Okay. And he says this, because in verse number 10, you can say Kohen, who is ranked the highest among his brothers, meaning that he's the Kohen Hagadol, the one whose head the anointing oil is poured, and who is consecrated to put on the garments, is not to stop grooming his hair or tear his clothes, going to where any dead body is, to make himself unclean, even for his father or mother, or his mother dies. He may not leave the sanctuary, then profane the sanctuary of his Elohim, because the consecration of the anointing oil of his Elohim is on him. I am Yahweh. Yah is telling us, when he says this, the one who's telling you this is the one that delivered you. I'm the one who brought you out of Mitzrayim. I want you to understand that when I say telling you who I am, is because if he does this, if he does anything contrary to what I said, he will be profaning not a God. He will be profaning Yahweh. I need to tell you that anything that you and I do, whether it's to be unfaithful to one another, Yah says you've broken faith with me. If you and I do anything against the commandments, we have broken faith with Yahweh, not with the God of the New Testament. That's why I'm not afraid to tell you anything about them. I'm not afraid to go in on a man who is anointed by a whore. Okay. I'm not afraid that I'm going to lose my salvation, because nothing that he's ever said has been beneficial to me whatsoever. And I know that from my own character. I can tell you what an awful person I was when I was a Christian. Okay. So I'm not afraid, and neither should you be, because we're dealing with Yahweh. Yahweh is our Elohim. He says he, in verse number 13, he is to marry a virgin. Okay. Someone who's never been touched by a man. He may not marry a widow. He can't marry a widow. He can't marry a divorcee. He can't marry a woman who's been profane. He cannot marry a prostitute. He must marry a virgin from among his own people. And what do you mean by his own people? Any of the tribes of Israel. Because Aharon himself was married to one of the daughters out of the tribe of Yehuda. Okay. It was Nachshon's sister, which was one of the leaders of Israel. Okay. Of Judah, in particular, that tribe. So there is some intermarriage between the Lavaim and the rest of the tribes. Okay. But there are some conditions. Here we have verse number 15 says this, and not disqualify his descendants among his people, because I am Yahweh who makes him holy. I'm the one who makes him kadosh. Yahweh is letting us know, if you would do what I'm asking you to do, you then will be determined and to be decided as being kadosh. You can disqualify your descendants, okay, from them being kadosh if he was to marry any other woman. See, so this is something that we as individuals have to understand. Just like he's asking him to do this, and he's asking him to do certain things, and it's what's required for him, right? Each of us have our own duty and responsibility to Yah. Do you not know that Yah will disqualify your family member? I've read to you several times where Yah says, if you do something against me, none of your sons will stand before me. We've also read in several passages. I think Koti Azanya brought it out a couple of weeks ago, where he talked about a family, that family didn't drink any wine. And Yah says, because you were faithful to your father, you get to stand before me. Okay. We're responsible. So if you want your family to continue, and you want to be able to stand before the living Elohim, you and I must do what he says. was found in the name of Yahweh. Every time he mentions the name, every time he mentions his name, is not without great significance. You and I know what his name means, okay? We know what his name means. And for those of us who don't know what his name means, let's figure out what it means. Just a quick snip to let us know what is his name every time he mentions it. Because in our Torah portion, what happened to somebody that blasphemed Yahweh's name? What happened?
From the people. Set on fire.
What happened to the person that blasphemed? Huh?
I was saying that he was killed.
He was killed. He was put to death. That word blaspheme there, and from a Hebraic perspective, is called radaf, and radaf means to wound. The man got an argument.
He was stoned by everyone who heard him blaspheme.
Everyone who heard, right? So he was put to death because he wounded Yahweh's name. So Yah's giving measure for measure. Yah doesn't go beyond. Go ahead.
He was also from a mixing.
His father was an Egyptian.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what it says. His father was an Egyptian. And what he did was he took Yahweh's name and he said something against Yahweh. It wasn't just he used Yahweh's name in the curse. He cursed Yahweh. That's what he did. He wounded Yahweh. He hacked Yahweh's name. He chopped, because that's what that word means, to hack, to cut. He chopped Yahweh's name. He chopped it. And listen what it says about who Yahweh is. Yahweh had passed before who? Moshe, and proclaimed Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh is Elohim. And then he tells us about his character. He said, merciful, compassionate, slow to anger, rich in grace and truth, showing grace to the 1,000th generation, forgiving offenses. That's part of his name. Crimes and sins. Yah will forgive your crime. He will forgive your sins. He will show compassion. Yet, even in that, he's not going to exonerate the guilty. Yahweh will never let the guilty go free, ever. It's like a father that knows that their child has done something wrong and let them go and never address the issue. Yahweh is not going to do that. He says, I will never exonerate the guilty, but causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by their children and their grandchildren. You see that? That's part of his name. So when he tells Aharon and anyone after Aharon, you have to marry this in particular type of woman. If you don't, you're going to what? You're going to disqualify your descendants from serving me. Okay. We don't know who's Leviim. We don't know who's Kohanim. I've been talking about this for months and months and months. Okay. But what we want to do is establish our own holiness, and people are calling themselves priests, and they're calling themselves Kohanim, and they're calling themselves from the family of Levi and taking on names. And none of them have, number one, they don't have the registry. Everything with Yah has to be by registry. If you read in the book of Numbers, he says, I want you to do a census and take an account of the people. And so you can number and name who the Leviim are. People are playing games with Yah, and they will, listen to me, they will be disqualified. Anybody that puts their hands to anything that he told them is going to be put to death. We have to understand this, because these individuals that we're talking about are responsible for being the intermediator between us and him. So right now, you and I, do we have space? Do we have someone being an intermediary for us right now? Mediating for us? Do we?
No.
No, we don't. Where's it at? Oh, here you go. These are the descendants of Aharon and Moshe as of the day when Yahweh spoke with Moshe on Mount Sinai. The names of the sons of Aharon are Nadav, the firstborn, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These were the names of the sons of Aharon the Kohen, whom he anointed and ordained as Kohanim, all of them, okay? But Nadav and Abihu died in the presence of Yahweh when they offered on authorized fire before Yahweh in the Sinai desert, and they had no children. Eleazar and Ithamar served as Kohanim in the presence of Aharon, their father. Yahweh said to Moshe, summon the tribe of Levi, okay? The whole entire tribe, and assign them to Aaron, the Kohen, so that they can help him. They are to carry out the duties and the duties of the whole community before the tent of meeting and performing the service of the tabernacle. Yahweh's intention was for the firstborn of Israel to do the service for him. When they sinned against Yahweh, Yahweh called and asked Moshe, well, which one of these people are going to come on my side? The Leviim came on Yahweh's side. When they did that, they took the place of the firstborn. They went in lieu of the firstborn. Yahweh is using the Leviim to perform the maintenance on the house of Yahweh, okay, the sanctuary. He says that these are to be in charge of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, to carry out all the duties of the people of Israel, because it was their responsibility. But he's using them, okay, and connected to the service of the tabernacle. Assigned to the Leviim, meaning Aaron's family, his extended family, cousins, uncles, brothers, all them, and his sons, that's who they're assigned to. Their one responsibility in regard to the people of Israel is to serve him. The Leviim are to serve Aharon, okay? You are to appoint Aharon and his sons to carry out the duties of Kohanim. Anyone else who involves himself is to be put to death. So, how do we know who's a Leviim? How do we know? They got to be from this family. As I told you, here's the family right here. Verse number 17. Here's the families. Okay, let's start in 15. Take a census of the tribe of Levi by clans and families and count every male 1 month old and over. Moshe counted them in the manner that Yahweh had said, as he had been ordered. The names of the sons of Levi were Gershon, the firstborn, Kahat, the secondborn, and Merari. The names of the sons of Gershon were Livni, like I told you, Shimni, which I told you, and they fathered their respective clans. Likewise, the sons of Kahat were the Ram, Yitzkar, Kevron, and Uziel. Abron, right here, is Moshe and Aharon's father. These are his brothers right here, okay? And out of Uziel comes Kahath, or Korach. And then you have Merari, the third son. He has Malki and Mushi. They fathered those clans. And then he goes on to give us all the, how many males there were, but you're supposed to take every male that was 1 month old and older in lieu of the children of Israel. My point being is this: if you're not registered, then you can't perform this service. You are to be put to death. Anybody that puts their hands to anything that Yahweh says for them not to will be put to death. Okay? What is it? Why is he saying this? He's saying this because he wants us to know that anybody that's going to come after these people and pretend that they're the people, you and I can easily be misdirected and misled. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. If you don't respect Yahweh, you don't have any respect for what he said, then you're in the wrong place. If you and I will accept somebody to call themselves a priest, and there's a lot of them, okay, and they say that they're a priest, and this is the temple of the Creator, and this is where his name is, they're a liar. They don't have any respect for Yahweh. They don't have any respect for what he said. Yes, Okoti.
We might as well believe somebody who says they're the Lord of the Shabbat.
Correct. You might as well believe that the 12 apostles or the 12 disciples are now the new priesthood. That's what you will believe, okay? 38, those who were to camp, and then he goes in, he talks about where their positions are and where they're supposed to camp. In Yahweh's camp, the children of Israel were organized. The only people that can ever be around Yahweh is the Leviim and Aharon and his sons. Okay. It says in verse number 38, those who were to camp in front of the tabernacle on the east, in front of the tent of meeting, toward the sunrise were Moshe, Aharon, and his sons. Why? Because who were in charge of the holy place. They carried out their responsibility on behalf of the people of Israel. So the Kohanim also have to carry out their responsibility, and their responsibility was to take the holy consecrated things that the children of Israel will bring to Yahweh. They have to make sure that they kept it holy. Okay. This is why he's telling Aharon, you can only marry a virgin. So that's why. Okay. But a lot of us look at the things that Yah has asked us to do and say, this is a burden. Because people want to do what they want to do. They don't, this is foreign to everybody. You know, it was foreign to me. I was like, well, what am I going to talk about today? Yah said, there's a lot to talk about. What do you mean there's a lot to talk? Everything that I said, there's a lot to talk about. What I want you to talk about is I want you to let the people know, number one, that the only way that you guys can ever come near me, okay, is through these people. Even in your exile, you need to understand the only way for us to be connected, he chose these people to be the representative, to show us how to be kadosh, to show us the difference between that which is clean and unclean, to show us what is holy and what's unholy. You and I, listen to me carefully, cannot accept any other words coming from anybody else. And if they don't have any respect for Yahweh, they would say today that they're a priest. I'm not a priest. I've said it and I'll say it again. I actually got in trouble for saying I'm not a priest. They wanted me to tell people you're a Kohanim. I'm not a Kohanim. What's the beginning of knowledge? What are you supposed to have to begin?
The fear of the Holy One.
Fear Yahweh.
Yes.
If you fear him, you won't go and say anything that he has not said. You'll show some respect towards him. And that's what we are missing. In the book of Malachi, and Malachi means my messenger, okay? Little Hebrew for us. Let me show you what happens when you don't respect him, okay? This in particular individual is named Malachi. We're just going to use his consonants of the M, the L, and the CH, which would be the K. And then, of course, the Yod on the end, okay? The I. And then you got the A in front of here, you know, Malachi, right? Or Malachi. Each one of these letters means something, okay? So the first letter is the Mem. And what does the Mem mean?
Water.
Water. And you usually have to go from somewhere to go get the water. So it means from, and it is a preposition. It means I'm going from somewhere, okay, to another place, okay? And then the next letter is a lamed. And what does that represent?
Staff.
Authority.
Yep, that's a staff, and that's authority. Good job. So we got staff and we got authority. Authority. Okay, perfect. And then the last letter right here is a cough. It's a final cough. So it looks like this. So what does that mean?
Palm of the hand.
That's the palm of the hand. So I put the staff in the palm of my hand, okay? And means from the staff in the hand. So the staff in the hand is used for several reasons. Why do you need a staff in your hand?
To lead.
Huh?
To lead.
To lead, okay? But also too, when you're doing it, the part of the word here, this word right here by itself, just the lamed and the cough, forget my writing. The lamed and the cough represent in Hebrew called to walk, and it's called lock. Okay, that's what it means, to lock or lek, like lek laka. Yah tells Abraham to walk. Okay, so walking, that's what it means. Okay, then you have the mem on the front, so that's lock. If you put the M on it, it would be called ma lock. Okay, so in Hebrew, what's a malach?
Messenger.
It's a messenger, and messengers that in the Greek they call an angel, but we won't call it that because we're not Greeks anymore. We're going to call it the messenger. The individual that Yahweh is using right here is saying, I'm chose this in particular messenger to come and to walk and to go deliver a message for me. Okay. And to tell somebody what I'm saying. That's what this name Malachi means. Okay. The last letter on it is a yod. That means my. Okay. So my messenger. That's what Malachi means. That's the individual that Yahweh said, I'm sending to deliver my message. Okay. Now that we got that established, this whole entire scroll that we have here, they call it a book, it's a scroll, is about delivering a message. Okay. And walking for someone else on someone else's behalf. This is very important for us to understand. Okay. Somebody read verse number 1 for me.
Prophecy.
Go ahead.
Prophecy, the word, a prophecy, the word of Yahweh to Israel through Malachi.
Now we have Malachi, right? And he's saying, my messenger. This is, and they said it was a prophecy. Okay. Right. That's what they said in English, a prophecy. I'm going to tell you something. You and I have to understand that this word right here in English is a misrepresentation of what Yahweh is saying. This is why you got to know this language. Okay. And you have to study it. So I'm going to go right there in the book of Malachi, and I'm going to show you the Hebraic understanding. Okay. The first word from right to left is this word right here called masa. Okay. And this is where you hear sometimes the slaves used to call massa. Hey, massa, meaning master. What he was really saying is that you're my burden. That's what masa is. A masa is a burden. Okay. So this is not a prophecy. This is not a prophecy. Okay. It's not. It's Yah is going to tell the children of Israel, the people, the sons, the daughters, that I have a burden for you. Okay. I got something for you to do. I got something for you to walk. I need you to walk for me. That's why he's choosing this in particular man named Malachi. Okay. Malachi, even though it's a male, females are not excluded. You're not excluded because everybody has a responsibility. Listen to me carefully, as being part of the sons and daughters of Israel to bear this burden. There's a burden that you and I have to carry. And the burden that you and I have to carry is the word of Yahweh. This is the burden. Okay. Anytime anybody is going to do anything for Yahweh, whether that's to walk and deliver a message, it's not going to be easy. Moshe complained and he cried to Yahweh and said, kill me. Why are you giving these people to me? Why have you given this burden to me? I can't take it. I might as well die before I do this because I can't stand these people because they're bent on doing that which is wrong. Did I bear them? Did I have them? Are they my children? He's talking about our ancestors. And you and I are the ones today that have to bear the burden of the word of Yahweh. It's not easy. It's not, because you have to give up on what you think is right. Because you're talking about what's from your perspective. How you feel. You see? How you want people to, look at you and understand like who I am. You want to fit in. You don't want to be the outsider. You don't want to be the one that everybody rejects. You don't want to be the one that everyone hates. Carrying this word and walking, because that's what this name means. It means one who walks. My messenger is supposed to walk for me. In context, how many messengers that Yahweh has? He has several messengers. That's why they call them Malakim. There's many messengers. And anybody that's walking and talking and they don't have the name of Yahweh in their mouth is a false messenger. I don't care what Peter, Paul, James, John, Titus, Barnabas, Timothy, Paul. I don't care what these people said. I don't care what Charles Stanley says or Creflo Dollar or T.D. Jakes. I don't care. Because they're not going to be held responsible for what my duty and responsibilities are. You and I have a burden to carry, and that burden is the word of Yahweh. In this in particular book here, in this scroll, in these writings, Yah is telling the children of Israel where they have fallen from him and how they have disrespected him. But one of the first words that he says to them is this. Listen, peep this, understand this. The name of our Torah portion, listen carefully. I don't care if you don't know Hebrew, you're going to learn today. Stop running from it. It is what it is. Under this word here, the second verse was this. The first word that Yahweh said, and hear me well. And this is the message that you and I need to bear for him to tell the people. Ahavti. Right here. Ahavti. You don't know how to read Hebrew? You don't know how to do this? Don't worry about it. Read it right up here. Ahavti. Ahavti. I don't care if you say it wrong. Doesn't matter. Why? Because you're trying to understand. You're putting forth an effort. You understand that this is a burden that I must carry. You and I cannot be in this culture and be part of this special people. And you and I are not willing to put forth no effort. Listen to this. Ahavti. Yah's first words to the children of Israel is that I love you. I love you. That's the first word that he said. Ahavti etkim amar. That's our Torah portion. That's our Torah portion this week. They call it amor, meaning I'm speaking, talking, participally. The words that I'm saying, I'm speaking to you. I'm saying to you. But here, Yahweh says amar perfectly, completely. I love you. Perfect. P-E-R-F right here. Perfect. Tense. Done. Check mark. Finished. If you and I could accept these words, the first part of our burden is to hear what he says. The first words to come out of his mouth is, I love you perfectly. But guess what they do? They retort and they say, Way martem. And yet you say, what do they say? You love me? What can we learn in verse number 2? I'm going to tell you what you're going to learn. You're going to learn that Yahweh's first words to Israel is that I love you. And they say to him, the Bama Ahafanu. Ahaftanu. How? Why? In what way? Bama. Ma means what? Inquiring. What way have you shown us that you love us? That's what they say. Isn't that what usually somebody says after you bring something to their attention? They say, you tell them how much they love you, and they go, you don't love me. I don't know how many times I got to tell you that I told some people that I love them, and they told me, I know you don't. They question my love. We question his love for us because you and I don't see the full picture. We don't have an understanding. We don't have an understanding. I wanted to show you that in Hebrew because now we can go to the English. I wanted to show you the word of Mars so you can know that this is connected to what Yah is talking about. The first words, the burden, not the prophecy, is the word of Yahweh. I love you. Amar Yahweh. But you say, dear Maratem, you say, Bama dear Tanu. How is it you show us your love? And Yahweh answers, Esau was Yaakov's brother. Yet I love Yaakov, but I hated Esau. I made his mountains desolate and gave his territory to the desert jackals. Well, how's that love? How's that love? Esau and Yaakov are brothers. What kind of brothers were they? Somebody tell me. How close were they?
Twins.
They were twins. Do you remember my 2 goats that I showed you last couple of weeks ago? They're both twins. Both of them. But Yah chose one. And the one that Yahweh chose is the one that he loves, is Yaakov. I told you a few weeks ago, you wanted to be the one that Yah chose, not the one that was sent off into the wilderness. That's the one that Yahweh hates. Because that's the one who's bearing the sin. That's the one who's in rebellion. That's the one who's going to go against what Yahweh says. Listen carefully. Yahweh has decided to give their mountains, which is their inheritance, to make it a desolation. I don't know why this thing keeps doing this. And I'm going to give their territory to the desert jackals. Desert jackals only hang out in places where it's completely ruined and there's nothing. This is how he feels about Esau. But I don't feel that way about you because I love you. So what is he telling us? I'm telling you that I've given him his mountains to be desolate, but I gave your mountains as an inheritance you forever. As you know in Isaiah 58, it says, if you would obey the Shabbat and keep turning your foot from doing your own business, I will feed you with the heritage of your father, that you would eat from it. Okay. This is about land and this is about descendants. This is about family. But guess what they say? This is Amar. Guess what they're saying? We are beaten down now, but we will come back and rebuild the ruins. Yahweh Zavaoth answers, because he has an answer every time. They can build, but I will demolish. They will be called the land of wickedness, the people whom Yahweh is permanently angry. I'm mad at them forever, but I love you. We need to rejoice. We need to thank Yahweh for the burden of the word that this in particular man, Malachi, was able to deliver to the children of Israel, to give us a clue about how our Elohim feels about us and how he's always felt about our ancestors. He's telling us the deepest secrets that no one else knows. This is all we need to know. I don't need to go and find out about what the Kabbalah said. I don't need to find out how fast the sun is rotating around the earth. I don't need to know how many stars are in the heaven. All I need to know is that Yahweh loves me. He's the creator of the heavens and the earth. He loves us. And this is the reason why we need to listen to what he says. I want you to pay attention to what he says. Look at the words that he always says. This word say, Amar, is used more than any other place right here in this in particular scroll. Yeah, it's directed me. He's like, well, yeah, what's going on? He says, I want you to tell the people what I'm saying. Okay? Tell them what I said. You tell them that I love them. You tell them that I hate this guy. I want you to see, and I want you to tell what other people are saying. I want you to let them know that I say some things, and then they're going to say some things. We're having a conversation. You will see it and say, who's you? Israel will see it and say, Yahweh is great. Yahweh, Gadol is Yahweh. Even beyond the borders of Israel, meaning I can touch whoever I need to touch. If I'm going to destroy somebody, I'll destroy him. I already told you, the Yah says, I'm going to make a complete end of the nations, but I'm not going to make a complete end of you because I love you. Now, as part of this burden, we have to understand that Yahweh has some requirements of us, and we have to understand why. Okay, here it is. Yahweh says a son honors his father. And it's a burden to be a son. It is. High requirements, a lot of expectations, a lot of training, a lot of teaching, a lot of things that are going to be passed on. Everything that you're supposed to, wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding is supposed to be passed on from the father to the sons so they can build their house the way that it's supposed to be built so their house will last and won't come to ruin. It's the father who gives the blessing to the son, that he's supposed to give him a double portion, especially the firstborn. So it's not going to be easy to be a son. But as difficult as that may appear to be, what's required of a son is honor his father. Yah has already told us in his commandments. He's already told us in his mitzvah. He already told us in the Torah that he should honor his father and mother. But more specifically here, he's dealing with a son and a father in this in particular relationship. And he says here, in a servant, his masters. In Hebrew, it says masters. Okay? If I'm a father, if Yah's saying, if I'm a father, where's the honor? Where's the kavod? Where's the kavod that's due to me? The question is where? And that's an interrogative. So in the conversation that Yah is having here about the burden of the word of Yahweh, the question is where? Where is the respect? Where is the honor? Honor is called kavod. Okay? The same word that's used for what they would call kokavim, which is stars. Okay? And it means to be weighty, and it means to be abundant, just like the stars. They can't be counted. You can't measure it. It's beyond comprehension. The same kavod, the same honor that Yahweh is requiring for him has to be demonstrated between a father and a son and a mother and a daughter. The family unit is the picture of Yah and his relationship with his children. If you don't honor your father, how do you think you can honor the creator? Do you know people are actually trying to go and circumvent around this? I have a relationship with God. I don't need a relationship with my mother and father. I don't need them. Because Christianity tells you that Christ is your savior. And then he never mentions that the penalty for not doing this is death. He never tells you the seriousness of this. Okay. So we can't circumvent this. Kavod has to do with the stars, has to do with weight. Meaning, like, if your father tells you something, you should not supposed to hold it as his light and be quick and swift about it. It means that you got to bear it. Just like Yah's telling us, I need you to take my words and hold my words. Don't throw my words behind your back. Don't throw my sayings down on the floor. Take what I'm saying serious. Where is it? Where is the respect that's due to me? Yah has an expectation, and he's talking to the children of Israel. And he's also going to include, says Yahweh Zavaoth, to you Kohanim, who despise my name. Earlier in our Torah portion this week, we were talking about all the things that are required about, how you're supposed to do your business, how you're supposed to marry, how you're supposed to bring an offering, how you're supposed to make sure that you sanctify the holy things, how you're not supposed to desecrate it, how you're supposed to be unclean, how you're not supposed to eat something when you're in an unclean state, how you're not supposed to touch nothing that's unclean. But now Yah is talking to these Kohanim. So literally, he's talking to who? He's talking to Aaron and his sons and those descendants. He's not talking to the Leviim. He's talking to those who are in service to him. You say, well, why is this important? Because these are the individuals that are responsible for our learning. These are the people, the individuals who are responsible for your exile. These are the individuals who let your father and my father, our mothers, do what they wanted to do. These are the individuals that were supposed to judge in matters of clean and unclean and protect the sanctity of Yahweh's holy name. These are the individuals that are supposed to have taught us about the Moedims of Yahweh. These are the individuals who's supposed to make a decision and a judgment between those people who have a controversy of violence, and they did not. These are the very individuals that he says that are going to be the buffer between the people of Israel and me. We need these people. And the type of people we need are the ones who are going to do the right thing. Yah says, I'm going to abase you because you have profaned me before these people. They despised Yahweh's name. This whole thing is about bringing honor and what? Respect to Yahweh's name. We're supposed to learn from them so you and I can learn how to honor and respect Yahweh's name. That's the burden. They asked the question, how are we despising, meaning hating and loathing your name? They want to know. So here you can see people are talking. So they're asking questions, a lot of back and forth between this father and his son. The father's telling him, I don't like the way you do business. I don't like what you're doing. And the first thing the son says is, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What have I done? There's things that fathers can see in their children that other people can't see. You see? There's things that a mother can see in her daughters that other people can't see. Yah is letting us know that I do see. I don't need to be a man for me to see. I don't need to have eyeballs that have tears running down your eyes. I don't need a pupil with blood vessels in it to know what I'm seeing. I don't need to have human ears with lobes on them so you know that I hear. I'm the one who made the ear. I'm the one who made the eye. I can see, I can hear, I can taste, I can smell, I can feel. Everything you got is because of me. And as a father, he has a right to tell his children what's wrong with them. You are hating my name. We found out his name is what? Mercy, compassion, truth, righteousness, justice. I'm not exonerating the guilty, but these people are. But let's look at what they're doing. They're defiling his name by offering polluted food on my altar. First thing, where's the altar at? The altar is in the Mishkan. Okay. It's in a holy place. Now they're asking another question. How are we polluting you? By saying that the table of Yahweh doesn't deserve respect. And guess what that table is? The table where the bread is put on, the shlukan, where the 12 loaves of Israel were baked and supposed to be put there every Shabbat. They did not take the bread and put the bread on the fire, but Yah says, I need you to set aside some frankincense. And every morning, what I want you to do is burn some frankincense in representative in lieu of the bread. Instead of burning the bread, you take the frankincense that's on that table and you sprinkle it on the altar of incense so I can remember the children of Israel. But they despised him because they didn't like the message that they are supposed to be bringing. They despise Yahweh. They hate the fact that he told them to do this service. Let's continue. Listen to this word. You ask, how are we polluting you? Verse number 7, it says, by saying. It's by Amar, Amor. Our Torah portion this week, Amor, by saying. That's how we defile Yahweh. It's the things that we say. It's our attitude that we have towards the work that he called us to do. It's our attitude about the life that he's asked us to live. Walking for Yah and delivering a message is a manner of life. Out of my own mouth, I will confess to you today, so you won't feel bad. You would understand. Yah has called me since I was a child to walk for him. And my whole life, I've been trying to do everything else. Forgive me for getting choked up. I have been bent on doing me. And if it wasn't for his love, and if it wasn't for that consistent discipline, I'll be destroyed. You have to accept the call. As Israel, we didn't want to accept the walk. We didn't want to accept this because it's so foreign to everyone else. I wanted to do me. I want to fit in. I want to be part of the group. I want to be acknowledged for my good things that I've done. I want people to tell me you're a great dad. I wanted my kids to acknowledge that. I wanted them to say, you know, you're one of the best fathers ever. And it's not because you were so sweet to us and because you gave us cars and you paid this and you did this and you did that. It's because of who you are and what you stand for. I wanted them to acknowledge that. I want that attention. I want to be recognized. I want that which is due to me. But guess what? Even the Creator himself doesn't get the praise that he deserves. Does that not make him a father? Does that not make him a good father? No, it doesn't. He's still good. So you fathers out here who are doing the best to make sure everybody's happy, you know, you're going through certain things and you're fighting against yourself in a lot of ways. You don't need to be acknowledged all the time. Understand that this place in exile right now, you and I are not going to get the credit that you deserve because we as a people never gave Yahweh the honor and the glory and the weightiness of what he deserves. These people in verse number 8 did not offer Yahweh the things that he wanted. Our Torah portion says in the last few weeks that I don't want an animal that's blind, which is a mum. A mum is a defect, M-U-M, mum, okay? So I don't want an animal with this blind. I don't need a sacrifice that's blind or something's wrong with it. I don't need something that's sick and lame, okay? And the reason why I don't want this is because it's reflective of who you are. If you're going to bring something to Yahweh and you want to be accepted of him, you and I can't bring things to him like this. You and I right now say, well, we don't have an offering, so we don't have to worry about bringing something lame or sick because we don't have anything. That's off the table because we're not in the land. You're wrong. You're wrong. The offerings that Yah had asked of the children of Israel were for them to examine those offerings themselves. And when they examined it, it was reflective of how they felt. If you saw something that was wrong, you would have to be honest and say, this is wrong. But guess what was going on? These in particular individuals, the Kohanim more specifically, were looking and examining things, and they knew that it was sick and they knew that it was lame, and therefore they still offered it to Yahweh. They still gave it to him in spite of its problems, in spite of the mumim that it had, the mums that it had, the defects that it has. Yah says the person cannot approach me who has a defect in his body. Any priest that had a defect cannot go to Yahweh. I had a cornea transplant. I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified. If you got something wrong with your skin, you're not qualified. If you have a sore on your body, you're not qualified. If your growth was stunted, you're not qualified. You're not qualified to approach, but you are qualified to eat. Why is Yah's putting these restrictions and letting us know what it is? Because I'm letting you know that there's something I'm looking for, and I'm not accepting anything less than what I should, because I am a great king. I am the king of the universe. You're not going to hand me what you want to hand me and expect me to receive it. I'm a great king. I created everything on the face of this earth. And you want to hand me something that's sick, something that's lame, something that's retarded, something that can't think, something that can't reason? You want to do injustice and accept me to receive it? You want me to be silent about your adultery? You want me to be quiet? You don't want me to tell you what's wrong? You want me to show you favor, and you want me to be pleased with you, and I'm not. And the question is, as we see in verse number 8, try to offer such an animal to your governor, to your leader, and see if they would be pleased, meaning they accept you, called Ratzon. We talked about Ratzon earlier this week. Yah is not accepting anything less than perfect. I'm not accepting it from no human being. You can't have this really messed up life that you're not interested in restoring and making improvements. You don't want a relationship, or you want to force a relationship on the Creator. You want to let him say, you have to take me as I am, like the Christians told you. He'll come as you are. He'll accept you all in your stuff. You could be a homosexual there in the church with your gay lover or husband nowadays, and you think he's going to accept you. They have the Gentiles have told us that you and I can do whatever we want to do, and he's going to accept you because I love you. I'm your father. That all creation is his creation, and they're all his children, all God's children. Like he knows all of them, and he's intimate with all of them. And when the Torah and the Tanakh clearly says that Yahweh doesn't know them, he's never spoken to not one of those people whatsoever. As his people, you and I need to remember what he has said. And as a father, he's telling us, I'm not accepting your mess. I'm not accepting your lameness and your sickness. You're lame and your sickness. We're lame in our attitude. We're lame in our approach. We're lame in our study. We're lame. We're very, what they would call apathetic. We lack desire and initiative, and we lack spontaneous zeal. Everything we do is half-hearted, making excuses on why you can't do what you're supposed to do. You don't want to wear your tzitzit because Yahweh told you that the tzitzit reminds you of my commandments. If you keep my commandments, then you're honoring me. You don't want to do that. You don't want to grow a beard. You don't want to take all the kamates out of your house and eat matzah for 7 days. And Yah says you're a rebel. Would he receive any of you? Would he receive you as Shawazavo? So if you pray now that God would show his favor, that your actions would have accomplished, is that Yahweh Zavaot says, will he receive any of you? So if you pray now that Elohim would show his favor, what your actions have accomplished is that Yahweh Zavaot says, will he receive any of you? Yah's asking the question now. This is a conversation that he's having with his children. Why doesn't even one of you shut the doors and stop this useless lighting of fires on my altar? I take no pleasure in you, Kohanim. Do you know the attitude of the Kohanim at this point was, and this was in the Second Temple period, that they thought that everything that they did was useless. They thought it was no big deal. They didn't want to do it. Okay. And says, listen, Yah says from the farthest, forgive me, Yahweh. He says in verse number 10, and I will not receive an offering from you. The Kohanim are a picture, okay, and a very clear picture of the leadership that our people had, okay? As a result of their transgressions against Yahweh, we as a people, as a community, have failed to see the holiness of Yahweh, okay? That's why these Greeks were able to come in and now convince us that now we know that the priesthood is done, so now this is our opportunity to get in now. And now we're going to get in and we're going to provide another way. So we don't have to have the burden anymore of Yahweh. We don't want that. They said that following Yahweh was a burden. Let's continue. Verse 11, from the farthest to the east to the farthest west, my name is great. Because this is all about Yahweh's name. This is about polluting his name. This is about understand how great his name is. His name is only regarded as great when we offer Yahweh the lives that we're supposed to offer him. His name is great. The greatness of his name is edified when he says, I can show compassion to the person who would turn from their ways. Yahweh's name is great among the nations when they see that I will show love and compassion and forgiveness of sins and crimes. And yet, even in all that, when I do that, I'm not exonerating the guilty. I have a way that would be able to let you escape out of complete destruction. I give you a way by just for you to turn back to me. That's how great my name is. In my name, there is mercy. In my name, there is compassion. In my name can transcend all the way down from generations. He says, offerings are presented to my name everywhere, pure gifts. My name is great among the nations, says Yahweh Sabaoth. But he says, you profane it. Profane it, what? My name. Saying that the table, the shlukan, is polluted. Meaning, it doesn't matter if we have the loaves of bread there, the way that he said, it doesn't matter if the incense is there. They got very, very complacent in what they were doing. And so that the fruit and the food offered deserve contempt, meaning that it's disgusting to them. They don't even care anymore. Lethargic. They don't even care. They have no initiative. They don't care about nothing. That's why he's saying, why don't you guys just shut everything down? Okay. And listen what they said. Because remember, it's about saying something. They said, it's all so tiresome. They didn't want to do it anymore. Malachi did not, the messenger. That's what this guy's name is. Okay. My messenger. And I'm going to show you who my messenger is. So we'll be very clear about who it is. Okay. Because they're a Malach. They're supposed to deliver my message. These messengers were saying that everything is also tiresome. And they scornfully, they sniff at it. They hated it. They hated the fact that they had to boil certain offerings. They hated the fact that they had to take a bull and throw all of it on the fire. They hated that they had to transfer some offerings outside the camp and burn it up fully. They hated that they had to go wash their clothes. They hated that they have to bathe their bodies. They hated that they couldn't touch other people. They hated the fact that they were told that you can't transmit any holiness. They hated the fact that they were separated. The Kohanim are a picture and working on behalf of Israel. So if you hate this and you hate their lifestyle, you shouldn't be in the kingdom. That's what Yah's telling us about being Am Kadosh. That's why he's using them. He's using the very people that had a heart for him to say, I'll kill anybody that goes against you. But now they're apathetic in their worship. Now they're lazy. Now they lack spontaneity. Now they're very timid. Yahweh says that you will bring animals that were taken by violence. They are lame or sick. This is the sort of offering you bring. Am I supposed to accept this from you? These animals were reflective of their mindset. Moreover, cursed is the deceiver who has a male animal in his flock that is damaged. Remember, Yah says that a person can't come to him and serve Yahweh if they are damaged in their body in any kind of way, including their testicles. These people were bringing animals that were their testicles on the animal was cut or messed up or wounded. But vows and sacrifice to Yahweh anyway. What is Yah telling us? He's using these priests to tell us something. Remember, they're the ones supposed to teach us. They're teaching us that, guess what? You don't want to do this. Yah was putting them on front because they're the ones who's supposed to be the representative of the house of Israel, like we read. I am a great king. And here's that word, Amar. See how many times he says Yahweh? Zavaoth, my name is respected among the nations. How much time do we have? I got to speed it up. Now, calling him, this command is for you. If you won't listen, if you won't pay attention to honoring my name, says Yahweh Zavaoth, then I will send the curse on you. I will turn your blessing into curses. Yes, I will curse them because you pay no attention. I will reject your seed. Remember I told you? Remember, he told Aharon, if you marry a woman who's not a virgin, and guess what? You're going to disqualify your seed. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to reject your seed, calling him. And listen, when I reject them, they're not going to be able to serve me. I will throw dung, meaning feces, in your faces. Yeah. And dung from your festival and offerings, and I will cart you off with it. So whatever dung you took from the animals, I'm going to take that. I'm literally saying, I'm going to disrespect you now. Now I'm going to take some manure and I'm going to throw it in your face. And then after I throw it in your face, I'm going to pick you up and toss you onto the pile of it. And then I'm going to cart you off with it. Because literally what your service is to me is nothing but a pile of you know what. And this is how I see you now, since you want to desecrate me. Okay. Then you will know that I sent this command to affirm my covenant with Lewi, says Yahweh Zavaoth. So my covenant with him, now we're going to talk about this and we're going to move on. But my covenant, my covenant with him was one of life and peace. It was Kayim and Shalom. That's the covenant that I made with him. I with Lewi. Okay. I gave him these things. What did he give him? He gave him peace and he gave him life. It was also one of fear. That covenant was one of fear, and it's called Morah, meaning of trembling, to be afraid. Like when you go into the tabernacle, you weren't blasé in there. You were very careful because you knew if you made a mistake that you would die because of the holiness of Yahweh. That's what it is. And so he feared me and he was in awe of my name. So now you see Yahweh talking about an individual, but he's really talking about a family. So often Yah will use a singular to represent a plural, like he says, right to the children of Israel. Israel, in one sense, is one individual, Yaakov, but then it represents 12 tribes. Okay. When he talks about my servant Israel, he's literally talking about plural, all my sons. Okay. When he talks about Lewi, he's talking about one, but he's talking about the whole family. That includes the Kohanim. You understand? So he's establishing his covenant. He has a covenant with him that's separate. There's a separate covenant that Yah's made with the Leviim that he ain't made with nobody else. And this is what the Christians and the Hebristians and all of those people want to do away with, to replace it with what they call the covenant of Melchizedek, when Yah has never made a covenant with us with Melchizedek. Melchizedek was in chapter number 14 of Genesis. He came and brought wine and bread to Abraham, and he was a Kohen for Elyon, for the Most High. But Yah did not put him over the family of Lewi. But when you go to the New Testament, they say that Yah has replaced the Kohanim with this priesthood because this guy lives forever, when that has not been verified. They're making that up because in Psalms 110, it says the master Yahweh said to my master that I'm going to make you a priest after the order of Melchizedek. Well, what's that order? What's the order of Melchizedek? And they would assume that it means to be forever. And that's not true. That's not true. It's not true at all. There's no record of his dying. There's no record of his death. So they say, well, he lives forever. He's eternal. That's a teaching. That's a doctrine. But here, this covenant is with Lewi, and is one of life and peace, and also of fear, because that's what they are supposed to teach the people. If they were to teach the people this, and then they would give this information out the right way, then our ancestors would have had lives, Kayim, which is life, and shalom. There wouldn't be any invasions. There wouldn't be anybody doing anything, because they are there to resolve issues. So the true Torah was in his mouth. That's what it is. The true Torah, the pure, the emeth of the Torah, the instructions was in his mouth. No dishonesty was found on his lips. So at this in particular moment, Yah's showing us what it was. Okay. There was no dishonesty on his lips. He walked with me. He halaked, like our name Malachi. He walked, my messenger walked with me in shalom. And he was upright. And he turned many away from sin. Not by the death of the innocent. He turned many away from sin because of the true instructions was in his mouth, and dishonesty was not on his lips. He is the reason why the children of Israel are not in the land, because they became dishonest. And they started lying. And why? Because they thought what they were doing was a waste of time. They didn't want to walk for Yah anymore. They didn't want to carry this burden. A Kohen's lips, someone from Aharon's family, should safeguard, guard, and be on guard for knowledge, visual observation, measurement, to see things as they are. And the people should seek the Torah from his mouth, because he is the messenger of Yahweh Sabaoth. That's your messenger. That's our messenger. He is a malach. Right here, this word messenger is malach. Malach, like an angel, right here, that they could say an angel, but it's not, as malach. He is my malach. He's the one walking on my behalf. He's the one with the staff in his hand. When someone was upright, okay, so he says he's upright. Upright means to be straight. Okay, so when Yah found me, I'm like this. You see me? Yah has to put a staff on me and straighten me out. And guess what happens? He has to bend me. I got to get bent until I come straight. You have to be bent. You're sideways. And Yah says, I got to put some righteousness on you. I got to give you the Torah. I got to make you upright. So what I got to do is, I don't put the staff on this side. I don't put it on this side. I don't. Okay. What I do is, I got to force this way. I got to straighten it out. Then I'm going to line this up here and put it here and then tie it up. You and I have to be bent back into place. And that's not easy, especially when you've been bent for a long time. Some of us are bent all the way down. And so it takes a little longer. It's a process. I know you've seen trees that are bent over. It takes a long time to get that tree back up. You understand? So it's a process. And he says, look, but look what they did. He said, but you turned away from the path. What path? Away from my path. And you caused many to fail in the Torah. That's who's responsible. You, Lewi, corrupted the covenant of Lewi. You Kohanim, says Yahweh Zavaoth. That's what you've done. That's what you've done. Okay? So we need these people. We need them. Right now, there is no priesthood. Right now, there is no king. Right now, there's nothing. Okay? I want to share one last thing with you to tell you about us being careful about what we say, because Yah corrected them on the things that they were saying. I want you to remember that the children of Israel were always complaining, and they made a fatal mistake. They made one fatal mistake, and it ruined everything, okay? And that's because of their complaints and the things they were saying, because that's what this is about. It's about talking, right? Saying. It's hearing what Yahweh says, and then it's also understanding, what do we say, okay? So listen to this. At this time, or excuse me, at this, all the people of Israel cried out in dismay and wept all night. In context, the sons of he sent out the 12 leaders to go and find, the land, or not to go find the land, but go spy out the land and see what it is and bring back some fruit. These people came back and they told them, spoke a bad report. And he told the children of Israel a bad report, except for two, which is Caleb and Joshua. So once they heard this message, because we always respond on basically what we're hearing, they got some so-called bad news, okay, about what they said, what the people said, not what Yahweh said, what they said. So what they did was they listened to the people who came back. They listened to these leaders who came back and told them that we can't take the land. Okay. Moreover, all the people of Israel began grumbling against Moshe and Aaron. Think about what I'm saying. Think about speaking. Take it in. They began grumbling. That means speaking against Moshe and Aaron. The whole community told them, we wish we would have died in the land of Egypt. That's what they said. We wish that we would have died in the land of Egypt, or that we had died here in the desert. So they wanted to either die in Egypt, we should have died there, and let us die here. This is where we should have died. I would rather die here. And when they said that, look what happened. They asked the question, why is Yahweh bringing us to this land where we will die by the sword, or our wives or our little ones will be taken as booty? Wouldn't it be better for us to return to Egypt? So, and they spoke to one another, let us appoint a leader and return to Egypt. Moshe and Aharon fell on their faces before the entire assembly of the community of the people of Israel. Yehoshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Yefuneh, from the detachment, they had reconnoitered the land and tore their clothes, meaning they were with the other 12. They just separated themselves. They tore their clothes and said, which is our word, Amar or Mer. They said to the whole community of Israel, the land we passed through in order to spy it out is an outstanding good land. They had a good message. If Yahweh is pleased with us, then he will bring us into the land and give it to us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Just don't rebel against Yahweh. Don't be afraid of the people living in the land. We'll eat them up. Their defenses have been taken away from them, and Yahweh is with us. Don't be afraid, because Yahweh's with us, okay? But rebelling against Yahweh is going against what he said, because Yahweh told them to go and take the land. Go and take it. And they said, we can't, okay? So just as the whole community was saying, remember our word, saying, they should be stoned to death, the glory of Yahweh appeared in the tent of meeting to all the people of Israel. So Yah heard, because they were saying, let's stone these people. Let's stone Moses, Aharon, Yehoshua, Caleb, and their families. Let's kill them all. Yahweh said, how much longer is this people going to treat me with contempt, meaning hatred, and despise me? I'm despicable. How long are they going to do this? How much longer will they not trust me, especially considering all the signs I performed among them? Questions? I'm going to strike them with sickness, and I'm going to destroy them and make from you a nation greater and stronger than they are. This ain't the first time. This is not the first time. The first time he said I'm going to destroy all of them was when they made the golden calf. This is probably like the third time. Okay. So then he says, however, Moshe replied, he spoke, and he said to Yahweh, when the Egyptians hear about this, and they will, because it was from among them that you, by your strength, brought this people up, they will tell, again, I want you to hear, they will speak, they'll use their mouth, and they're going to say something. They're going to tell the people living in this land, okay? They will tell the people living in this land, they have heard that you, Yahweh, are with this people, that you, Yahweh, are seen face to face, and that your cloud stands over them, that you go ahead of them in a column of a cloud by day and a column of fire by night. They know this. They're going to tell it. If you kill off this people at a single stroke, because that's all it takes, then the nations that have heard by someone speaking to them of your reputation, meaning about your name, will say, the reason why Yahweh slaughtered this people in the desert is that he wasn't able, okay, to bring them into the land which he swore to give them. That's the reason why. And so now, please let the master's power be as great as when you said. And then he refers to what we read earlier in Shemot 34:6. Yahweh is slow to anger. That's part of Yahweh's character. Yahweh is rich in grace. Yahweh is forgiving. He forgives offenses and he forgives crimes, yet not exonerating the guilty. So Moshe is smart enough to use what Yahweh said about himself to be the defense against destroying all Israel. So Yahweh himself, his name alone, invoking his name and reminding him that you are the one that you're slow to anger, Yahweh. You're rich in grace. This should be part of your prayer. That you forgive offenses and crimes. Yet you're not exonerating the guilty, but causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by the children, even to the third and fourth generation, meaning you give us time. You're giving us time. You always give time because that's who you are. That's what your name means. So when Moshe was everyone's about to get whacked out, Yahweh was about to destroy everybody, Moshe uses Yahweh's name. He uses the character and Yahweh's attributes to save Israel. And that's what's saving us today. Please forgive the offense of this people according to the greatness of your grace, just as you have borne with this people from Egypt until now. Yahweh answered, Yah speaking, I have forgiven as you have asked. That's how simple forgiveness was. It wasn't, well, let's go crucify somebody and put them on the cross and let them die, and you kill the innocent. Anybody innocent, let's take a child and murder him and take his blood and splash it on the place and put it on everybody so these wicked people can go free. Yahweh says, I have forgiven as you have asked. So why can't we accept that? The forgiveness is predicated upon who Yahweh is, not what you and I are. It's who he is. But as sure as I live, that the whole earth is filled with the glory of Yahweh, none of the people who saw my glory and the signs I did in Egypt in the desert, yet tested me these 10 times and did not listen to my voice, because I'm speaking, they did not listen to my voice, will see the land I swore to their ancestors. None of those who treated me with contempt and hatred and detest me will see it. Which goes to the fact that if you and I are part of these descendants who show any contempt towards Yahweh and despise his name and will not listen to his voice, then you and I are going to go along with these people. You won't see the land. And he's already promised that. He says, but yet my servant Caleb, the dog, the one who's loyal, okay, because he had a different spirit with him, he has fully followed me. Now, was this spirit something that Yah gave to him to give anyone else? No. It was something that Caleb had conjured up within himself, just like Abraham conjured up something within himself, okay? Yah says, I need you to walk before me perfectly. Yah says, I need you to cause yourself to walk before me perfectly. You got to do that. Like Yah tells us to be kadosh, for I'm kadosh. You're supposed to exist as kadosh. You are supposed to hitpael, cause yourself to be kadosh. So it's all on us. It's not on him. It's on us. Okay. So he says, but him I will bring into the land. He entered and it will belong to his descendants. So the people who went against Yah, he said, I'm killing them. Okay. Since the Amaleki and the Canaanite are living in the valley, tomorrow turn around and get yourselves into the desert along the way of the Sea of Suf. So now he tells them, look, you guys, they're not going in. They're not going to see it. So Yahweh said to Moshe and Aaron, how long am I to put up with this evil community? How long? Who keep grumbling about me? They keep running their mouth. Okay. I've heard the complaints that came out of their mouth, from their heart, from their mind, of the people of Israel, which they continue to raise against me. So when things don't go our way and we start running our mouth, Yah's saying, I hear you. I hear you, just like the people that were in my altar in my temple, and they said that this is useless. They're calling evil good and good evil. They're asking, why aren't you punishing evil? So they figure, since you're not punishing evil, you're not going to punish me. So I could get lackadaisical. I don't need to do any of the things that you're asking me to do. Guess what he says? Tell them this. Surely as I live, because Yahweh lives and he will never die, swears Yahweh, or Yahweh swears, as surely as you have spoken. Now listen to this, 28. Surely as you have spoken in my ears, I will do this to you. What did they say in his ears? We wish that we would have died in Egypt. Well, they weren't in Egypt any longer. We wish that we would die in this wilderness. And guess what? Yahweh gave them exactly what they asked. You and I got to be careful what we say. And especially before Yahweh, because Yahweh hears what you and I say. He knows the complaints. Even if you're thinking it, Yahweh knows it. Even if you think to yourself and you think he hasn't heard you, he hears you. He hears what you're saying. And he knows you. And he knows what your next move is. And he knows what you're going. He knows it. Just like he knew Pharaoh, he knew what he was going to do. He knows exactly what we're going to do. See? So, to make a long story short, Yah said, as surely as you have spoken in my ears, I will do this to you. And then he tells them, your carcasses, your dead bodies will fall in the desert. Every single one of you who included in the census over the age of 20, because I took a census of the people. I know how many people there are. So anybody over the age of 20, and they complained against Yahweh, because they were part of it. They were the adult group. You're going to be put to death. You're dying out in the wilderness. He said, they will certainly not enter the land about which I raised my hand to swear that I would give or have you to live in it, except for Caleb and the son of Yefuneh and Yehoshua, the son of Nun. These are the only two. But your little ones, who you said would be taking his booty. So now he's telling them and repeating to them everything that they said to him. See? So you're going to get judged according to what you say. Then them I will bring in, just like you said I was, and they will know the land you have rejected. But your carcasses will fall in the desert, and your children will wander about in the desert for 40 years. Why? Because they're going to be bearing the consequences of your prostitutions. So I'm going to kill you, and then your children are going to bear the consequences by going into the desert and the wilderness for 40 years. So now the prostitutions that you taught them, I'm going to try to get them to let it go. And of course they didn't. Okay. And until the desert eats up your carcasses. So I'm going to wait until all of the people over 20 years old and over is dead. Okay. It will be a year for every day that you spent reconnoitering, meaning spying out and investigating, surveying the land, that you will bear the consequences. Yah lets us know that you're going to bear the consequences in any actions that you and I take. And this is one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, that you and I will bear the consequences of the things that we have said and the things that we have done. And that's the truth. That's the truth of our message. That's what Yah's talking about. In him speaking, you and I need to pay attention to what he has said. You should not care about what anyone else is saying. Matter of fact, I'm just here to repeat what he said. I'm not here to tell you anything else except for what he said. There's many of teachers out here that are talking about what other people have said. People are studying all kind of books and mysteries and esoteric information. There's many people who are designing their own priesthood. There's many people out here making all kind of exceptions for breaking the Shabbat. There's many people out here downplaying the tzitzits and the beard. If you don't have a beard, and listen to me carefully, and you could grow one, you despise Yahweh. I said it. You despise him. If you don't wear your tzitzit, a lot of people read about the tzitzit and they say, well, I don't want to wear the tzitzit. But guess what they don't read? They don't read the part about that goes before the tzitzit. They don't read the tzitzit. They don't read about the information prior to tzitzit. They only read about the tzitzit. They only know about Numbers chapter 15, verse number 34 or 38. That's what they know. But they don't read the other part. The other part that they need to read, that they don't read and they don't memorize, what they should, is this. If an individual, in verse number 20 of 15 of 25, excuse me, verse number 26, no, 27, sorry, 27. 15:27 says, if an individual, because that's where we are, individuals, because right now we're not a community. He just want to let you know the mindset. The individual who sins or sins by mistake, he is to offer a female goat in his first year as a sin offering. Just mindset. Think about it. This is why you need the Kohen. The Kohen will make atonement before Yahweh for the person who makes a mistake by sinning inadvertently. Every time you read anything in the book of Numbers about an offering and to atone for a person's sin is through, he uses the means of the Kohen, because that's their job. And if you try to take their job away from them, you're saying they don't have an inheritance anymore. That's their duty and their responsibility on behalf of the children of Israel. Okay. So the Kohen will make atonement before Yahweh for the person who makes a mistake by sinning inadvertently. He will make atonement for him. He will be forgiven because there's forgiveness available. No matter whether he's a citizen of Israel or a foreigner living with them, you are to have one Torah, one law for whoever it is that does something wrong by mistake. You don't get to pick and choose, okay? Now, this is the part that no one wants to read. They want to read the tzitzit part, but they don't want to read this. Here's the part that you need to remember in verse number 30. But an individual who does something wrong intentionally, whether a citizen or a foreigner, is blaspheming Yahweh. And blaspheme means that you are hacking, you're chopping his name, you're wounding him in the sanctity and the holiness of who he is. You're saying that what he just said doesn't matter. That's like the person who used his name in a curse. It says they blaspheme Yahweh. The person who doesn't do what Yahweh says is the person who is blaspheming Yahweh, because they're intentionally doing something against what he said. So in spite of you thinking that you're just not wearing your tzitzits, you despise Yahweh and you're blaspheming him, and he's going to kill you for it. If you don't want to wear your beard and you say, I don't have to wear a beard, that's in the Old Testament. Yah says, you despise me and you despise what I said. So guess what? I'm going to kill you too. If you said that it's okay for me to have, extramarital affairs, it's just somebody on the side, nobody knows, Yah says, you have gone against me. You blaspheme me. If you say that you can go ahead and create your own priesthood and that you're a priest, and Yah says, if anybody puts their hands to it, right? And that's going against the command, because that is a command. Yah says, you blaspheme me. And the sanctity and the holiness of my name, you chopping on me. Okay. Just like the person who used my name the wrong way. Okay. The ones who profane my name, I got news for you, what I'm going to do to you. So the individual here that does something deliberately, intentionally, okay, intentionally, knowing what Yahweh said, okay, whether a citizen or a foreigner is blaspheming Yahweh, that person will be cut off from his people. Now, because he has had contempt, that means you hate him. Okay, whether you don't want to know, believe that or not, you hate him and you despise the word of Yahweh, which is Amer, which Yahweh Debar, what Yah has spoken, and has disobeyed his command, that person will be cut off completely. His offense will remain with him, meaning you should expect to die. While the people of Israel were in the desert, they found a man gathering wood on the Shabbat. So now he's going to give you the example of the individual who decided that they're going to have contempt for the command of the Shabbat. So guess what they did? They found him gathering wood. And guess what? How can you find somebody if you're looking for him? So can you go out of your house on Shabbat? Yes, you can. You can walk out of your house. And what they found was somebody doing something they didn't supposed to be doing. They came upon him. He was gathering wood. For what? More than likely a fire. So what did they do? They found him gathering wood. They brought him to Moshe and Aharon and the whole congregation. Just like they did in our Torah portion when the man had cursed Yahweh and they blasphemed Yahweh, they gathered him and put him in a ward in a place they call a ward, like a little holding cell or somewhere. They put him to the side and said, what should we do with this person? So they kept him in custody because it had not yet been decided what to do to him. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, this man must be put to death, just like the guy who blasphemed Yahweh. What should we do with him? Put him to death. The entire community is to stone him to death outside of the camp. Don't do it in the camp because I'm in the camp. You take this person and you take him outside the camp and you kill him outside the camp. So the whole community brought him outside the camp, threw stones at him. Okay. So what they do is they dig a hole and they put him in there and everybody stones him to death. And he stones at him until he died. And as Yahweh had ordered Moshe. So Yah gave the death penalty for him. Okay. Then he goes on to talk about why the tzitzits are here. So speak to the people of Israel, instructing them to make throughout all their generations, not some, all of them, tzitzot on the corners of their garments and to put the tzitzit on each corner with a blue thread. It is to be a tzitzit for you to look at. Why? Thereby to remember all of Yahweh's commandments. That's why you have the tzitzit on, to remind you to keep all of his commandments and obey them, because if you intentionally don't do what he says you're blaspheming me and you will be cut off, so that you won't go around wherever your own heart and your eyes lead you to prostitute yourselves, because Israel gets real sidetracked real easy. They get off the path real fast. But he says, but it will help you remember. That's what the tzitzit are. They help you remember and obey all my commandments and be holy, kadosh, for Yahweh. So the tzitzits have to do with being kadosh as well. Okay. So you have to have your tzitzit on. All Israel, not some of you, all of you, not just the men, the women too. Okay. We talked about all Israel, the whole entire congregation. See? So if you go against that, you might as well go pick up sticks on the Shabbat. And you know what? You're dead anyway. And that's the lesson today. That's the lesson. Yah's asking us to be holy. And he's telling us that this is what it is. It's not a suggestion. It's not a recommendation. It is what it is. But if you don't want to be that, don't worry. You're going to be cut off. You're going to be cut off from the community. You're going to be cut off from your people. You're going to be cut off from your ancestors. You're going to be cut off from the blessing. You're going to be cut off from the land. You're going to be cut off from all memory. You're going to be cut out and blotted out of Yahweh's book, never to be remembered and never to ever have another opportunity to serve the living Elohim, neither you nor your descendants. And that's the message. So what did we learn today? We learned a lot. We learned that Yahweh's kadosh. We learned that Yahweh's word is a burden. It is something he's given us to carry. And yes, it's not easy. But even so, it's not easy. And even though that might be the case, we still have a responsibility and a duty to our Elohim to carry out his orders. And that's what it is to be one of the sons of Israel, one of the daughters. Any questions, statements, contributions? Azanya.
Yes, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for another wonderful lesson. I just wanted to say it just to add on, because I did listen also to the lesson that you gave this week about being, him being anointed by the whore.
Yeah.
And, and how, like, the idol of the New Testament and his workers, that the people that wrote the New Testament, how they sought to replace the priesthood, and even the whole line of David. But they even, I don't know what happened. Maybe you can discuss it one day. What happened in the garden, I think it's called of Gethsemane, where he, he's so vexated about, his coming crucifixion that he sweats blood and it drops. And, he also allegedly replaces Adam.
Yeah.
And this need for the workers of the New Testament to completely just obliterate just like anything that happened in our nation. I don't know. One of the brothers commented, I think Brother Gill commented about how confusing the whole thing is. But I just wanted to just comment that, he was really trying to be everybody. And to this day, New Testament believers believe that JC is, or Yahusha, or whatever they call him. They believe he is everyone,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that was a good study. That was an exciting study for us. And like I said, that's what they want to do. They want to destroy, the priesthood. That's why they always mention the Torah teachers and the Pharisees and the scribes, and they're always putting them down, right? And so, here's an opportunity for a whole bunch of, sinners and publicans and, fishermen and tent makers and tax collectors and a whole bunch of misfits, literally, to now all of a sudden they take on the role of a priesthood. Have not been ordained or authorized. So in essence, we can get rid of the altar. We don't need that anymore. We can also get rid of the showbread, because that represents the 12 tribes of Israel. We don't want the bread on the table no more. We don't want that. We don't want to bring the offerings and contributions of the land anymore, because we're not going to discuss the land anymore, because this is a global thing now. This is a global agenda. We got to get the whole world to believe this. So we don't need that anymore. We don't need to talk about Shabbat any longer. We got the day of the Sunday on the day that he rose from the dead. So we don't need that. We need to eat the flesh and drink the blood, to go along with the sacrifices that they were doing. So instead of them eating the sacrifices, now we can eat his body and drink his blood, right? Instead of the blood being poured on, splashed out, and anointed on the horns of the altar, now you can have a cup of that to digest. That is the what they would call the seance of the dead.
Yeah. So much of it is ritual. And it's like the only thing they wanted to keep really was the throne of David and to ascend upon it. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. And as we read earlier today, that when one of David's seeds do ascend to the throne, that Yehuda will be saved and Yerushalayim will be called, Yahweh Zakenu. And that Jerusalem and every part and aspect of that will be, they will be delivered, they will be saved. And so we know that hasn't happened. And also too, this prince who will rise, Yah will raise them up, will come out of that line, and they will come out of captivity. And Yahweh will then raise that individual up from among the sons of Israel. So David is among the sons of Israel in captivity as we speak. And then he says, who is this who approaches me unless I've given his heart to do so, right? So the individual who Yah has chosen is going to be the one who's given his mind over to Yah. Who's like, I'm all with Yah. I'm all Yah. So,
and I also wanted to make this one comment also on something that you made about us, all the nation sharing, and why that just having this anointed one is really kind of like the antithesis of everything our nation is experiencing, because as you said, we're all sharing the burden of the word of the Almighty. The whole nation is suffering, and the whole generations have been born into suffering. To just have this one anointed one, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. I couldn't have said it any better than that. It's true. It's absolutely true. So yeah, but there's a and I don't have it on me right now, but there is a text that says that you and I are the anointed ones. We're anointed. We're anointed by Yah. Where he says to touch not my anointed, he's not my anointed ones. You and I are anointed by Yah. When he finally brings us back, we're the people that Yah, we're the eternal people. We're the people that Yah chose. So we're a lot different than what you and I think we are. We're not, we're different species of people. So that's why the Kadosh and Ani Kadosh, the Yiyeh Kadosh, the Yiyot Kadosh, meaning you need to exist as this, and you have to cause yourself, you have to consecrate yourselves to me, is because we're understanding that our closeness to Yah is predicated upon our Kadosh, our Kodashim. So I chose a group of people to teach you this stuff. And then if they're not in place, right, then I'm going to teach you. I'm going to tell you what I'm expecting. And then I'm going to see if you're going to be willing to do it, and I'll give you everything that you guys did violate, like the Shabbat. I'll put that back in play and see if you want to do the opposite of your ancestors. And that's what we've been doing. We're like, no, I'm not going to do what they did. No, I'm not going to do that. And then we choose. You could choose Kadosh. You can choose it. Kadosh can be transferred. It surely can. But also, too, there's a time. There's a time element to Kadosh. So all the other days that we have during the week, they're not Kadosh. They're not. This day is Kadosh. I didn't get a chance to read it, but in chapter number 23 of the book of Leviticus, it tells you about all the Moedims. And the Shabbat is the first one, and all the other ones let you know at these times, these are times of Kadosh. These are called Mikras, Mikra Kadosh, a convocation, a holy convocation. Times in which Yah says, these are the times that I want you to spend time with me. So those are extra Kadosh, okay? And so, that's when we are trying to participate in that, okay? So Yah has made provision for us, and he loves us, and he's saying, this is what I want from you. Do you want to do it? And then we say, yeah, I want to do it. And that's how it is. That's what we do. Anyone else?
Akika, I have a question. Well, it's really clarification that I need. In Leviticus chapter 20, verses 7 and 8, Yah says we are to sanctify ourselves and to be holy. And I know that you previously taught that it's our responsibility to be Kadosh. But at the end of that verse 8, he says that he is the one who sanctifies us. Is that a contradiction, or?
No, not at all. There's no contradiction. What he's saying is, if you were to, since I'm the one telling you to do this, I'm the one who makes you Kadosh, right? He's saying if you would do what I say, then you would be able to become Kadosh.
Okay.
That's why he keeps saying, I'm Yahweh. I'm the one who makes you holy, right? So from a Western mindset, we're thinking, oh, he's going to do it to us and for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's going to do it regardless. And that's what Christians think. Oh, he's going to save us. We don't have nothing to worry about. He's the one who makes us holy. Yeah, but if you don't do what he says, you can profane the holy. You see? So is he the one is he the one making you profane it? No. He said, I'm the one who makes. What he's saying to us, Akoti, is that because I'm introducing you to the things, I'm letting you know the secret things that no one else knows. I'm letting you know that if you eat this that I told you to eat, it would make you set apart for me. If you would do this, it would make you set apart for me. If you would follow these instructions, if you show up on this time, it would make you Kadosh. If the priest, if they were to be Kadosh towards them, come near to me, if they would do these things that I say, because I'm the one saying it, I'm the one causing you to become Kadosh if you would do it.
I see. So it's our choice, really.
It's your choice. Remember, he said, if you marry a woman who's profane, you have just now disqualified your seed. So you got a choice to make.
Right.
Remember, he said, if you're unclean, don't eat the holy things. That's a choice. He said, if you did, I'm gonna ask you a question, Kwa. If you did do something that you didn't supposed to do, you made a mistake, because we do make mistakes. He said, you got to add 20% to it. But there's times when you could become your Kadosh, and then you could become disqualified by an action that you've taken or something has happened, right? So he's the one saying, if you were to do what I tell you, you can become Kadosh. You and I decided today that I'm going to become Kadosh. Why? I set myself apart by coming to the Shabbat. I'm part of a mikra right now. That's kadosh.
Mhm.
But you would not know how to do that, and you wouldn't know that Shabbat was kadosh unless Yahweh told you.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Kwa, you got a question? Or should I-
No, I was just going to add to that
Yes.
by
go ahead.
saying, we're kadosh because of the Torah. That's what sets us apart. And from what I've noticed is that once I started to study the Torah, it changed my steps, and that's what being sanctified. When he says he sanctifies us or sets us apart, we're only set apart through the Torah. And that's what makes us a nation, is because that's what's beautiful about it, is because that's what's going to bring us out even in this captivity, is the fact that when we start keeping the Torah, that's what sets us apart. That's what lets us know what's the difference between the heathen and who's a Gentile, who's an Israelite. It's only the Torah. It's the only reason why we are able to know that and identify that now is because of the Torah.
Yes.
Even with our food, we know what's clean and unclean because of the Torah. The Torah is what sanctifies us. So when he says he sanctifies us, he has sanctified us through the Torah.
Through his instructions. Praise Yahweh for that. Excellent contribution. Yeah. So it's up to us. We could choose these things, right? We're the ones who are doing the thinking and we're the ones who are making a decision. So it's up to us. And
It's like we make a decision every day about what we put in our mouths. It's the same decision. It's the same decision about what God we serve, what we do on the Shabbat, what we wear. We're making those decisions.
And he doesn't, and Yah has given us like I said, one of the words that we learned over the last week was called ratzon, and ratzon means a free will to be accepted. So Yah is always saying, I'm going to accept, I won't accept you if you do this, but if you do this, I will accept you. Right. So if you would do what he asked, he says, then it'll be acceptable to me. So within there, we have to line up to what he said. And if I tell you that it's, something needs to be, 1.5 pounds, don't bring me 2 pounds. Only bring me what I asked you to bring me. See, so we can show disdain and contempt for Yahweh's words if we try to go over and beyond what he said. And also we go, and it's like the scales. He says, your scales have to be, righteous. They got to be Zaddik. So the scales is like, I'm going to give you more than what it's supposed to. Yah says, no, I didn't ask you for that. That's like not giving me enough of what I asked. So find the balance in it and make it righteous. Make the measurement exactly what it's supposed to be. Make the weight exactly what it's supposed to be. Make the volume exactly what it's supposed to be. And so we're supposed to take those principles and understand and say, hey, you know what? I need to balance this out when I'm hearing and you're making a decision. So even you put anything on a scale, you still got to look at it. You got to examine it. Is this weight? Let me see. Okay. Oh, there it is. Perfect. It's level. Okay. So now you know. But if you are not paying attention or you just don't care, you throw whatever is on. Let's just hurry up and get this done. And that's what he's saying about the priest. They had an attitude like, oh, come on, they didn't care. They didn't want to take the time to do what he asked them to do. They were going below what he said, you see. And so remember when he would give the offering for building the Mishkan, Moshe had to tell the people, no, that's enough. You can't put it. If I told you that it's supposed to weigh 66 pounds of gold and you brought 85 and I told you 66 and the plans specifications call for that, why are you just going to throw extra gold on there when I told you not to? You see what I'm saying? If I told you it was 15 feet and you add 15 and 3/4, it's not what I asked you. So some people say that that's being anal. Some people say that's just being, obsessive, but it's not. It's the truth. And that's the way that he wants us to think. Don't you? If you see something as right, call it right. If you see that as evil, call it evil. Stop trying to make excuses for people. Just, it is what it is. If they're wicked, you're wicked. My brother asked me, are you calling me wicked? I said, yeah. But let me define what wickedness is. It just means someone who's gone off the path. You're not on the right path. Do I have to explain to you why? You already know why. You already know you're not on the right path. Don't play dumb. You already know you ain't on the right path. See? So that kind of talk is what we're talking about. Good to see you, Sister Claudia. You and Jeff. Good to see you guys on here. Good to see everyone. Renee, Kel.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Good to see you too.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shalom, everyone. Good to see you, Anthony. Hallelujah. Praise Yahweh. All right, you guys. Anything else? I do have class later on today. If you'd like to participate, we're going to be in lesson number 5.
Akiko, my son Jonathan is joining us today.
Oh, cool. What's up, Jonathan?
Right.
What's up, man? I don't know on Facebook any longer, but I know who you are. You're the twin, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, praise Yah. You guys have a wonderful family. Your brother's wonderful. All you guys. I love you guys. I know you haven't seen me. You don't know me personally, but I do sincerely do have love for you guys. You guys visited your home. He's visited your family. You guys got a lot of people in your family that love Yahweh. So that's something to be excited about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Aki.
Yeah.
Aki Ohavaka. Aki.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awid.
Hallelujah. Yeah. So that's what it is, you guys. So when y'all, I know what you guys did was so special. Why all you guys over there. I'm serious, man. You guys, everybody on here know what it is. You don't have this abundance of people in your one household. So somebody along the way has said or did something to Yahweh that he said, you know what? I'm going to give it to a whole bunch of them over there. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
That's funny you should say that, because I was thinking about that very thing, that who was it that did something or prayed to Yahweh that it got through and got us favor?
Look, for all you guys in your family that got the favor, I'm telling you, man. It's just me and my wife and my children. That's it. Nobody else. I got a huge family. What do I got, Quad? How many nephews and nieces I have? 30?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I got a big family, but guess what? None of them. So you guys are blessed. Hallelujah.
hallelujah. Thank you.
All right, you guys, I'll see you a little bit later. Praise be to the Holy One of Israel, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.